Good day. This is Jenny Chris Boogbog, your co-future educator from BSED Filipino 22. In this video, we'll be discuss the science, technology, and nation building. The lesson objectives are, at the end of this lesson, the students should be able to, first, discuss the role of science and technology in the Philippine nation building. Second, evaluate government policies pertaining to science and technology in terms of their contributions to nations building. And lastly, identify actual science and technology policies of the government and appraise their impact on the development of the Filipino nation. In this lesson, we will discuss the influence of science and technology in the development of the Philippine society. That identifies government programs, projects, and policies geared toward boosting the science and technological capacity of the country. In this lesson, we will also include the discussion of Philippine indigenous science and technology. Brief historical background of science and technology in the Philippines. The history of science and technology in the Philippines started way back before the country gained its independence from the American colonizers. Before the coming of Spanish colonizers, the early inhabitants of the archipelago had their own culture and traditions. They had their own belief system and indigenous knowledge system that keeps them organized and sustained their lives and communities for many years. Science in pre-Spanish Philippines is embedded in the way of life of the people. Scientific knowledge is observed in the way they plant their crops and provide them food, in taking care of animals to help them in their daily task, and for food production. Science is observed in the way they interpret the movement of heavenly bodies to predict seasons and climates and organizing days into months and years. They use science in preparing the soil for agricultural purposes, and like any other ancient cultures, they discover the medicinal uses of plants. Technology is used by people in building houses, irrigations, and in developing tools that they can use in everyday life. They develop tools for planting, hunting, cooking, and fishing, for fighting their enemies during war or tribal conflicts, and for transportation both on land and in waterways. They also develop technologies in creating musical instruments. The different archaeological artifacts discovered in different parts of the country also prove that the Meta Age also had a significant influence of the lives of early Filipinos. The sophisticated designs of gold and silver, jewelry, ceramic, and metal tools prove that their technological ideas help in the development of different tools. Also, trading with China, Indonesia, Japan, and other nearby countries have influenced their lives by providing different opportunities for cultural and technological exchange. All these ancient practices in science and technology are considered now as indigenous science or folk science. When the Spaniards colonized the country, they brought with their own culture and practices. They established schools for boys and girls and introduced the concept of subjects and disciplines. It was the beginning of formal science and technology in the country, known now as School of Science and Technology. Learning of science in school focuses on understanding different concepts related to the human body, plants, animals, and heavenly bodies. Technology focuses on using the developing house tools used in everyday life. Life during the Spaniard era slowly became modernized, adapting some Western technology and their ways of life. The Filipinos developed ways to replicate the technology brought by the Spaniards using indigenous materials. Medicine and advanced science were introduced in formal colleges and universities established by the Catholic orders. The Galilean trade has brought additional technology and development in the Philippines. Although it is only beneficial for the Spaniards, these trades allowed other ideas, crafts, tools, cultural practices, technology, and Western practices to reach the country. Some Filipino students who were able to study in Europe also contributed to the advancement of medicine, engineering, arts, music, and literature in the country. The Philippines, being one of the centers of global trade in Southeast Asia during that time, was considered to be one of the most developed places in the region. Although the country is blessed with these developments, the superstitious beliefs of the people and the Catholic doctrines and practices during the Spanish era halted the growth of science in the country. The Americans have more influence in the development of science and technology in the Philippines compared to the Spaniards. They established the public education system, improved the engineering works and the health conditions of the people. They established a modern research university, the University of the Philippines, and created more public hospitals than the former colonial master. The mineral resources of the country were also explored and exploited during the American times. Transportation and communication systems were improved, though not accessible throughout the country. The Americans did everything just to Americanize the Philippines. They recognized the learnings of science and introduced it in public and private schools. In basic education, science education focuses on nature studies and science and sanitation, until it became a subject formally known as science. The teaching of science in higher education has also greatly improved and modernized. Researchers were done to control malaria, cholera, and tuberculosis and the other tropical diseases. The desire of the Americans to develop the human resources of the Philippines to serve their own interests is somehow beneficial in the country. This allowed American scholars to introduce new knowledge and technology in the country. The Protestant church missions in different places in the country also brought hospitals and schools so far flung areas. Little by little, these efforts built a stronger foundation for science and technology in the country. However, World War II has destabilized the development of the country in many ways. Institutions and public facilities were turned into ashes, houses were burned, and many lives were destroyed. The country had a difficult time to rebuild itself from the ruins of the war. The human spirit to survive and to rebuild the country may be strong, but the capacity of the country to bring back what was destroyed was limited. The reparations funds focuses on building some institutions and public facilities like schools, hospitals, and transportation systems. The reparations money from Japan was also concentrated on building highways and in providing technological training and human resource development in the country. Since the establishment of the new republic, the whole nation has been focusing on using its limited resources and improving its science and technological capability. It has explored the use of ODA or Overseas Development Allocations from different countries to help the country improve its scientific productivity and technological capability. Human resources development is at the heart of this effort, focusing on producing more engineers, scientists, technology experts, doctors, and other professionals in the country. The development of science and technology in the Philippines, based on its brief history, is shaped by several factors and influences. In the history of science in the countries, it is also shaped by human and social activities, both internal and external. And that was the historical background of technology and science in the Philippines.
We have the influence in the development of science and technology in the Philippines. We have internal influence and external influence. Internal influence are survival. When we say survival, it is kaligtasan ng buhay. There should be a long-term goals to improve health in developing countries. To improve health and nutrition and to address problem with the sector and with food production. Next, culture o kultura. Then, economic activities, mga aktibidad sa ekonomiya. Then we have external influence, foreign colonizer, mga dayuhang kolonisador. The next, trades with foreign countries, pakikipagkalakalan sa ibang bansa. Then last is the international economic demands. Government policies on science and technology. The Philippine government introduced and implemented several programs, projects, and policies to boost the area of science and technology. The goal is to prepare the whole country and its people to meet the demands of technological driven world and capacitate the people to live in a world driven by science. Padilla Concepcion 2015 reported that in 2015, in the response of ASEAN 2015 agenda, DOSTO Department of Science and Technology has sought expertise of the NSRP or National Research Council of the Philippines to consult the virus sector in the society to study how country can prepare itself in the meeting the ASEAN 2015 goals. As the result of the consultation, the NSRP o National Research Council of the Philippines is expected to recommend policies and programs that will improve the competitiveness of the Philippines and ASEAN region. We have the NSRP clustered these policies into four, namely: first, social sciences, humanities, education, international policies, and governance. Second, physics, engineering, and industrial research, earth and space sciences, and mathematics. Third, medical, chemical, and pharmaceutical sciences. And last, biological sciences, agriculture, and forestry. So first, social sciences, humanities, education, international policies, and governance. First, integrating ASEAN awareness in basic education with adding to the curriculum. Emphasizing teaching in mother tongue. So, pagbibigay diin sa pagturo sa sariling wika. Developing school infrastructure and providing for ICT broadband. And last, local food security. Second, we have physics, engineering and industrial research, earth and space sciences, and mathematics, emphasizing degrees, license, and employment of opportunities. Override grants for peer monitoring, review of RA 9184. Then last is harnessing science and technology as an independent mover of development. Next, we have medical and chemical pharmaceutical sciences, ensuring compliance of drug manufacturing firms with ASEAN harmonized standard by full implementation of Food and Drug Administration, creating an education council to dedicate to standardization of pharmaceutical service and care, empowering Food and Drug Agency to conduct evidence-based research as a full of information. Next, allocating 2% of the GDP to research, legislating a law of supporting human genome project. Last policy, the biological science, agriculture, and forestry, protecting and surviving biodiversity by the full implementation of existing laws, use of biosafe and standard model by ASEAN countries, promoting indigenous knowledge system and indigenous people conversation, and last, formation of common food and safety standard. Other existing programs supported by the government through the OST. Providing funds for basic research and patient related to the science and technology. The government funds basic and applied researches. Funding of this research and project are also from the Overseas Development Aid or UDA from the different countries. Next, providing scholarship for undergraduate and graduate studies of students in the field of science and technology. Saloma 2015 pointed out that country needs to produce more doctoral graduates in the field of science and technology, and to produce more research in this field, including engineering. Next, we have Philippine Science and Technology. Philippine Science High School System. Establishing branches of Philippine Science School System for training young Filipinos in the field of science and technology. Creating science technology parks to encourage academic and industrial partnership. Balik Scientist Program to encourage Filipino scientists to abroad to come home and work in the Philippines or conduct research and project in the collaboration with the Philippine-based scientists. We have developing of science and technology parks in academic campuses to encourage academy, industry, and partnership. The establishment of the National Science Complex and National Engineering Complex within the University of Philippine Campus in Diliman. This aim to develop more science and technology engineering, and empower engineering manpower resources need by country. They also aim to produce more research in the field.
The Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering identifies several capacities building programs such as establishment of national centers of excellence. When we say centers of excellence, it is to identify those private or public schools that provide courses at all universities, state colleges, or other institutions that are referred to be as centers of excellence for the delivery of educationally relevant courses. Next is manpower and institutional development programs such as engineering and science education program or ESEP to produce more PhD graduates in science and engineering. So it is a scholarship provided by DOCS that allows anyone to pursue a PhD and a master degree in science and engineering. However, for the students who enroll in these courses, it might be challenging because it requires a lot of time, concentration, and extra money. Next is establishment of regional center to support specific industries that will lead the country in different research and development areas. Establishment of science and technology business centers to assist, advise, and incubate entrepreneurship ventures. Last one is strengthen science education at an early stage through the Philippine Science High School system. So, therefore, their goal is to strengthen science education from early stage through high school. The current K-12 education program included science, technology, education, and mathematics as one of its major tracks in the senior high school program to encourage more students to enroll in science-related field in college. This time, we had a K-12 program with strands like STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineer, and Mathematics, ABM for Accountancy, Business Management, then GAS, General Academic Strand, and others. Students in this program had specialization even though they haven't yet completed high school, and this helped them make decisions about what courses to take in college and what career to pursue in the future. The Commission on Higher Education launched its Philippine California Advanced Research Institutes or PCARI project to allow several higher education institutions in the Philippines and some US-based laboratories, research institutes, and university to work within on research and projects related to science, agriculture, engineering, health, and technology. This project is hoped to strengthen the STEM competitiveness competitiveness of the country. Since all of the colleges in our nation or country, whether public or private, are governed by CHED, the Philippine California Advanced Research Institutions provide support for STEM programs to increase the level of competition for all students. There are many other areas and fields that the country is looking forward to embark various research and projects. The following are some of them. Number one is use of alternative and safe energy. Number two, harnessing mineral resources. Number three, finding cure for various diseases and illness. 4. Climate change and global warming. 5. Increasing food production. 6. Preservation of natural resources. 7. Coping with natural disaster and calamities. Last one is infrastructure development. So, higher education has grown so rapidly in recent decades that its character and performance now have far-reaching implications for all members of society, whether or not they are directly involved with it. Higher education research is also attracting attention because the object of its study is the institutional foundation of all academic disciplines, as well as the contribution of systematic knowledge to the future of society. It falls under the domains of the social science and humanities and drawn on a wide range of disciplines. It is the theme-based area with high social relevance expectation. It is also a relativeness small field of research that is currently based in a variety of institutional settings. The Philippine Congress has also created various laws related to science and technology. These laws serve as a legal framework for science and technology in the country. These also laws vary according to different themes such as conservation, health-related, technology building, and supporting basic research, among others. Some laws and policies are in line with international treaties such as the United Nations or UN, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization or UNESCO, Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN, and other international agencies. So this Association of Southeast Asian Nation or ASEAN, since we are neighboring and part of the Asians together with Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and other nations, where we are the ones who collaborate to advance science and technology across the region. As you can see the diagram of development of science and technology policies in the Philippines, the development of policies in the science and technology is shaped or influenced by several variables. Policies need to be aligned to national goals, considered international commitments based on legal framework, and response to various science needs, issues, and problems. Science and technology policies ensure that the whole country and all people will experience the progress that the science can bring. Policies and guides to direct all efforts to a goal or developing a scientifically advanced country.
Famous Filipinos in the field of science. School science is filled with names of foreign scientists, which is Einstein, Galileo Galilei, Newton, Faraday, Darwin, and many other Western scientists. We rarely hear of Filipino scientists being discussed in science classes. Li Chua 2000 identified 10 outstanding Filipino scientists who have made significant contributions in Philippine science. These scientists are also famous abroad, especially in different science disciplines: agriculture, mathematics, physics, medicine, marine science, chemistry, engineering, and biology. These Filipino scientists are Ramon Cabanos Barba, Josefino Cacas Comeso, Jose Behar Cruz Jr., Lourdes Hansoy Cruz, Fabian Melar Dairet, Rafael Daneros Guerrero III, Enrique Mapua Austria Jr., Lilian Formalejo Patena, Mariju Panganeban Ruiz, Gregory Ligo Tangonan. The first Filipino scientist, Ramon Cabañas Barba. Outstanding research on tissue culture and Philippine mangoes. His contribution, inventing a way to induce more flowers in mango trees using ethyl and potassium nitrate. He was proclaimed a national scientist of the Philippines in June 2014. He was also recognized for his significant contributions to Philippine agriculture through horticulture. He developed a process that caused the flowering and fruiting of mango trees 3 times a year, so dramatically improving yields. Josefino Cacas Comeso. Observing the characteristics of Antarctica by using satellite images. His contribution is leading physical scientist at Godfaro Space Flight Center and National Aeronautics and Space Administration. He has studied many polar processes and was among the first researchers to report dramatic changes in the Arctic Sea ice cover and accelerated warming at high latitude in the northern hemisphere. Comisa's achievements with NASA include space-based assessments of surface temperature, tracking sea ice distribution, and observation of phytoplankton blooms in the Earth's polar regions. These and other advances help from his work in 2010 titled Polar Ocean from Space. He is a recipient of NASA Exceptional Achievements in Science Medal, one of the prestigious awards given to a NASA scientist, and many other awards. The third Filipino scientist, Jose Behar Cruz Jr., known intentionally in the field of electrical engineering, was elected officer of the famous Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. He has made major contributions to the theory and practice of automatic control in research, teaching, and service. One of the original founders of Alerton Conference on Circuits, Systems, and Computers, served as Associate Director of the Coordinate Science Lab and as Associate Head of the Department. Lourdes Hansoy Cruz. notable for her research on sea snail venom. Lourdes Sansui Cruz is lauded for her research on Conus geographus, a marine snail found in the Philippines. Working alongside fellow experts, she studied the properties of the snail's venom, which were largely unknown at the time. Their research paved the way toward finding practical uses for conotoxins, leading to breakthroughs in neuroscience and medicine. Research has contributed to the understanding of the biochemistry of toxic peptides from the venom of fish-hunting Conus marine snails. She is known as the sea snail venom specialist. She has also contributed to the development of corotoxins as tools for examining the activity of the human brain. The fifth Filipino scientist, Fabian Miller Dairet. For his research on herbal medicine, known for his phytochemical work for the development of Lagundi as a part of the National Integrated Research Program on Medical Plants. He has worked on other important natural products, including medicinal plants, coconut oil, and corigenol. He is currently focused on the development of standardization and profiting methods of medicinal plants. He established the National Chemistry Instrumentation Center, when the first high-field Fourier transform nuclear magnetic resonance spectrometer and high-resolution mass spectrometer in the country were obtained in 1994 under the Engineering and Science Education Program, known for his phytochemical work for the development of Lagundi as part of the National Integrated Research Program on Medicinal Plants. The sixth Filipino scientist, Rafael de Neros Guerrero III, for his research on tilapia culture. He was recognized because of his scientific and technical contribution to the growth of sex reversal and hatchery techniques that helped the commercial fabrication of high-yielding market-size tilapia in the Philippines and other nations. The seventh Filipino scientist, Enrique Mapua Austria Jr., for inventing the meconium drug testing, pioneered the use of meconium in testing the mother's abuse of drugs during the course of pregnancy. A Filipino medical doctor known for his researches in pediatrics. He was recognized for his significant contributions in the field of pediatrics, specifically in neonatal drug addiction, and his pioneering work on the detection of fetal exposure to drugs, tobacco smoke, alcohol, and environment toxicants by analysis of meconium. Eight Filipino scientists, Lilian Formalejo Patena, for doing research on plant biotechnology. She develops tissue culture for garlic production and discovered a breed of calamansi and seedless pomelo and discovered micropropagation, which established the banana industry in the Philippines. She is also an inventor of leaf bud cutting in cassava. Ninth Filipino scientist, Mariju Panganiban Ruiz, for being an outstanding educator and graph theorist, also known locally and internationally as an expert in graph theory and operation research, and her expertise is valued not only in the academe but in different industries and sectors as well. 10th Filipino scientist, Gregory Ligot Tangonan, for his research in the field of communications technology, innovation and technology. intellectual property strategies for innovators, international engineering projects in smart energy solutions, and sustainable environment and environmental monitoring. High technology competitiveness analysis and leapfrog strategies for developing countries. A Filipino inventor of analog messaging and sending messages using fiber optics and digitalization for its processing. His patent is called stress bemorph MEMS switches and methods of making same.
So, as the continuation of Marie Jo Rebosa's report, the other outstanding Filipino scientist who recognized her abroad for their outstanding contribution in science. We have Cesar A. Saloma, Eduardo Gomez, William Padulina, and Angel Alcala. First, Dr. Cesar A. Saloma. Dr. Cesar A. Saloma received the Galileo Galilei Award from the International Commission for Optics in recognition of his significant contribution in the field of optics that were accomplished under comparatively unfavorable conditions. He is the first scientist from ASEAN member country to receive the Galileo Galilei Award. So, Dr. Cesar A. Saloma is an internationally renowned physicist. Next, we have Dr. Eduardo D. Gomez is known for his pioneer works and invaluable contribution to marine biology. Gomez led the world's first national-scale assessment of damage to coral reefs, work which led him being conferred the title of National Scientist of the Philippines in 2014. So, si Eduardo D. Gomez is the famous scientist in marine science. Next, we have Dr. William G. Padolina is a professor and academician, is the current president of National Academy of Science and Technology, or NAST. Dr. William G. Padolina is a professional career is truly a rich coverance of his role as scientist, teacher, researcher, administrator, and policy maker. So, kani daw si William Dr. G. Padolina is chemistry and president and National Academy of Science and Technology in the Philippines. So, last we have Dr. Angel Alcala. So, Dr. Angel Alcala is a world-renowned Filipino ecologist and biologist with more than 30 years of contribution to the field of conservation biology. So, Dr. Angel Alcala was the first scientist to comprehensively study the reptiles and amphibians of the Philippines. And his research led to the identification of than 50 new species. Then, he was named a National Scientist of the Philippines in the 2014 for his research into Philippine amphibians and reptiles, as well as the conservation of marine protected areas. So, kani daw si Dr. Alcala is a marine science. There are other scientists in the Philippines who were not identified in the list. Yet, in the Philippines, still need more scientists and engineers, and there is need to support scientific research in the country. The University of Philippine Los Baños is a science paradise for agriculture, forestry, plant and animal science, veterinary science. It has produced numerous scientists and various research in the field mentioned. The University of the Philippines, Visayas is also a national center for marine science, fisheries, and other related sciences. The University of Philippines, Manila is a center of excellence and has produced many researchers, doctors, and health professionals and scientists in the area of medical and public health. We have the University of Diliman, also established a national science and engineering complex to develop more research and produce more scientists and engineers in the country. The government must find ways to establish more research laboratories and research institutes. There are also a need to find ways on how where their researches is disseminated to the public. Many of these Filipino scientists are products of good school science. It means they were taught and inspired by the Greek teacher. The interest in science started to manifest during their childhood years. Their natural environment ignited the curiosity to learn more about natural and physical environment. School and laboratories where they studied and worked nurtured this. So we have the factors that influence the development of Filipino scientists. We have individual interest in science, family, natural environment, then school science, and teacher and learning environment, science laboratories, real-life context. Modo to'y factors nga naka-influence to develop a Filipino scientist. So, many Filipino scientists, whether are in country or abroad, always excel their job. The Filipino spirit and the souls has never faded. They continue to bring the honor of our country. They make ordinary things in a extraordinary way. They are always at part with other scientists in spite of the limited facilities we have in our country. So that's all.
The summary of science, technology, and nation building is this lesson discussed the influence of science and technology in the development of the Philippines as a country. Even before the time of Spanish colonization in the Philippines, various people and communities already practiced science. They invented tools and built structures, studied the medicinal uses of plants, observed heavenly bodies to predict season and weather, and used indigenous science in agriculture. These are considered indigenous science, which is one of the foundations of modern science. The growth of science and its development as a field in the country is a hybrid of indigenous and foreign ideas. Spanish and the United States, being the former colonial master of the country, played an important role in building the foundation of science in the Philippines. To further strengthen the science program in the Philippines, the government establishes various science program, policies, and projects. Through the years, many Filipino were able to establish themselves as scientists and science educators in various scientific areas and fields. Inventions and innovations were done by the Filipino scientists. Finally, the demand of globalization, especially the Asian economic agenda, prompted the Philippines to invest in science and technology programs and projects.